You guys, this is my third time filming a girl talk, and like, it's just not working out. Like, the words aren't coming out of my mind. What? The words aren't coming out of my mouth. I got lint all over my blanket, and the lint roller doesn't want to pick up the lint, so I had to pick it up with my fingers. Since YouTube, it's been very interesting because I love having conversations and like the things I want to talk about. I love sharing it on the internet, but like at the same time, I am a very private person. Like, I don't really like talking about myself in ways that make me vulnerable or that have to do with anything personal, like my relationships, my family, like anything like that. It's like I feel very, very hesitant because I have seen so many times how the internet is just such an ugly place. And as much as I love and I have always wanted to do YouTube, like it's a very interesting, like I'm still trying to figure out like, what do I want to share, what do I not want to share, what makes me comfortable, what doesn't make me comfortable. And sometimes like I'll have a whole video planned out about something, start filming it, and I'm like, I feel uncomfortable talking about this or sharing this. And I think that's why I'm having a hard time filming right now. I don't know if it's a fine line or just a very thick line. Like, I love my privacy. Like, I absolutely hate it when people tell me what to do. I hate hearing opinions about my life when nobody has the right to say anything about it, or if it's very unsolicited advice. And I think a lot of times when people put themselves out there and put their lives out there, maybe make it seem like goals, and then when it crumbles or if something goes wrong, want privacy then, because then they realize that people have things to say. And like, if you share so many things about yourself, honestly, I don't feel like you really have the right for people to be like, that's none of your business when you put your business out there. If you're literally making money, and I guess I'm specifically talking about relationship channels, and if they break up, it's just funny to me how if they break up, then it's like, it's none of your business. But it's like, how can you say that when you're monetizing your relationship, and the whole reason why you have money right now or a career right now is because these people are your audience. Their viewership is what's paying for your lifestyle. So like, and I feel that's a little hypocritical, and I don't want to be a hypocrite in that way and feel like I'm putting stuff out there and then get mad when people have stuff to say. Granted, that's not an excuse for people to just go ahead and say whatever they want and be rude about things. But also, I feel like it's a two-part thing. Like, well, maybe you shouldn't have posted their stuff in the first place. Even outside of YouTube, even in just my everyday life, I don't tell people things. Like, I really don't, except for maybe like a few. But like, I had a lot of like experiences where people felt very entitled to knowing information about myself. And just because we're friends, just because we're family, does not mean much to me in terms of what you get to know. Because if you're not me, or if you're not another person in whatever relationship I'm having, whether it's between me and a family, me and a friend, me and a boyfriend, me and whatever, like, if you're not the other person, then you don't get the right to know stuff. So that's just something that I've been thinking about. Some people really have the audacity, and like, maybe that's my trauma speaking. I don't know. I just like my privacy, like having a peace of mind knowing that no one can speak on something that they don't know. I mean, people can speak on things they don't know about, but it's just like, it doesn't bother me because they don't know anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, versus if I'm spilling my whole beans, or if I'm saying everything and then they put their opinion on it, then it irks me, you know what I mean? So, and I was even talking just the other day about someone about this, like how somebody was speaking on something they don't know anything about, but how I could not have cared less. Like, I just didn't care because they don't have any information that's based on truth. So It just gives me a peace of mind. And maybe that's a lesson learned. Maybe that's the moral of the story. There's power in privacy, and I really stand by that. Like I said, I already filmed this and deleted it, but I was talking about toxicity before, and I still would like to talk about it. Hopefully it comes out better the third time. But I just feel like it's so easy to point fingers and say how other people in your life are toxic, or how other people in general are just toxic, and how that's just like such a definitive label, like you're either toxic or you're not toxic. And I feel like it's not always like, I'm sure there's a whole human being who everything they do is toxic, but I don't feel like that's the majority of people. When we do something bad or toxic, we can put all this context behind it and almost like justify it, like, oh, it's my childhood, or oh, this bad experience that I had that made me react this way, almost like an excuse. But then you don't give them that same grace. It's just like, no, you're just a bad person with bad intentions, and you're just toxic being or whatever. And even if you do give them that grace, like, I don't feel like whatever you've been through is an excuse to treat people poorly. But I don't feel like it's okay to just completely label a whole human being as toxic, because then you have to say that same thing for yourself. Like, you can't not give them context to whatever situation, or just give them that grace, because you don't know what's going on in someone else's life. You're either both toxic or both sometimes toxic, because it's so easy to say how other people are toxic, but then not look at ourselves sometimes. And that can be a very hard pill to swallow, because I was even talking to my sister about this not that long ago, how in a lot of situations and environments that we've been in while growing up, is like there has been toxicity after toxicity after toxicity being put in front of us, and these toxic habits. And how, for me, like, it's so easy to like think about it, like if I'm in an argument or if a disagreement or if there's something bothering me, like thinking about those toxic habits that I grew up seeing a lot, how easy it is to use that. And you might not think about it as toxic or think about it as manipulation, but sometimes it just is. Just as much as I can identify the bad things that happened in my childhood and like be able to like recognize that, I should also be able to recognize how I, as a big person now, an adult now, cannot use that as an excuse for my behavior. Like, I don't feel like talking about your bad childhood should be used just as like a pity party. It's a negative experience, but like, what are you gonna do about it now? And it's not supposed to be used as an excuse. And I feel like sometimes people can just easily use that as an excuse and think that maybe they're the only ones in the world who have had a bad childhood, and then use that for grace for themselves and not other people. And that's just like really annoying. It is very high and mighty of them. And it's very similar to cancel culture in the same way, because like with cancel culture, I feel like because the things that they did that got them canceled is public, then it's so easy for us to be like, shame, shame, shame. And yeah, like if someone did something bad, like don't condone that. But I feel like a lot of people do it in a place of like, I am so high and mighty and the most moral person, and then they're down here. Like, the only difference between us and that other person is that our mistakes have not been public. You are not better than them. You are not more morally just than them. And saying that, like, these people now need to do the work to fix their mistakes. What work have you done? Who has held you accountable for these things? And it's just like, okay, let's not accept that this is a good thing to do, and we should criticize people who do something bad. But then it kind of just turned into a like, they're lesser than us and we need to hold them accountable and they need to do the work and they need to, I don't know. Am I making sense? Like, it just feels kind of weird to me. So when people talk about the work, it's very interesting because like it seems very performative. Like, we need to see you doing X, Y, and Z, maybe doing something in a community you hurt, or whatever action that they did that made them canceled, to do something to repair that. But it's just very interesting because like, if they show it, then they're just fake and it seems very performative. But if they don't, then people are assuming they're not doing the work, and it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And it's just like very like annoying how we act like we know
what these people are doing. They could be sorry, they could not be sorry, but like, am I gonna like start a petition to ruin someone's career over it? No, I have other things to do. You know what I mean? Like, calling it out is the best you can do, and trying to ruin someone's life after that, I'm just kind of like, but why? Like, why? Don't you have anything else to do? Like, is that very productive? I don't think so.
Granted, some people do some really bad stuff, but I'm thinking like, okay, if they did something really bad, then let's go to jail. They need to see a real judge and then go to jail. But then now it's just like, okay, forget jail. Let's see how many followers they can lose. Let's hold them socially accountable for things. I don't know. And I'm not really trying to use that as an excuse or to justify their actions, but it's just like that. Making a mistake is just such a human thing. And like, it's just annoying that it's like, okay, let's just try to completely ruin their lives. Like, it's a very case-by-case basis. Granted, I still don't think, like, why would you want to, what, don't you have anything better to do than, like, your mission to be ruining someone else's life? That's number one. But also, like, some things are worse than others. So I don't want to make too broad of a statement, but I don't know how to like really articulate this because it's starting to get me a little heated. But like, no matter what this person does to apologize or do the work, I don't feel like it'll ever be good enough, to be honest. Like, the only thing that will redeem them is when people forget and then someone else does something bad. But like, people like the drama. They're gonna be like, you're not genuine about this. We need to see you do the work. What the heck is the work? Why are we acting like we know these people in real life and then we know exactly what they're doing? You know, like, and why do we care so much? And I think it's just because, like, at least in terms of like celebrities or influencers, subconsciously or consciously, like, we see them like, okay, they're up here, they got the fame, they got the money, whatever, so we feel like lesser than and just jealous and down here. So when they do something wrong, then we can be like, bam, 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 I'm morally better than you, so you're lesser than, and I'm better, so that it makes us feel better. And that's my theory. Because why else? Can we like take a look at ourselves? Like, can you honestly say you've never done any messed up thing before in your life that if that got out, you'd be very embarrassed about? Like, can you honestly say that? And unless you're perfect, then shut up. Because what's the point? You know what I mean? I don't know, dude.
I just wanted to quickly come on here and say that if you see that someone said something or is doing something bad, to definitely call it out. I'm not trying to advocate to like keep quiet and move about your business, but I think that if your mission is to just completely ruin someone's life, then I feel like your motivations may be a little bit skewed because you're just trying to ruin them rather than correct the wrongs. And I feel like it's annoying because unless they do something illegal, we all done something bad, and that doesn't mean that we should have our whole lives ruined because of it. So I just feel like when we call something out, don't do it with bitterness and do it with like trying to paint someone out as a terrible person, because people are complex and we've all did terrible things, and it doesn't mean that you should get your life ruined, unless it does when you have to spend your life in jail for something you did. But that's like, I feel like most of the things I see, it's rarely an illegal crime that needs to be justified. It's always like something social going on, which is very like valid to like speak up against, but like, let's realize people are complex and like not everybody has terrible malicious intentions. Just sometimes people make mistakes, as we all do.
I do agree that there are toxic and problematic things, but especially now more than ever, if someone doesn't agree with you socially, politically, have a conversation. And like, I'm speaking to you as someone who has had conversations with people who really infuriate me when they say certain things. But I feel like if someone disagrees with you on one political thing, you're a piece of trash, you don't know anything. Like, it's almost like we're gonna think they're terrible people because of like a disagreement in social or political issues. Because at the end of the day, I feel like most people, even if you disagree on political issues, I'm hoping that they do want the best. There are things that probably you do that are like problematic as well, but you just don't know it yet. Like, there are some things that like, not even like 5 years ago, I am a different person than I am now. And I had some views that I definitely don't agree with today. I have been friends with people who had views that I'm like, what the heck? And you don't find out until after, but you love this person. They're like a good person to you. But then you find out they have different views than you, and you're like, it's almost like, whoa, like I'm taken aback, like what? Like, but does that make them a bigot or an extremist or whatever? Like all of a sudden that you learn this information? No. So I feel like we need to be a little bit more like open-minded and have more conversations with people, because tolerance is very important. Dang. With that being said, I'm not looking forward to this next election. Like, I am stressed. I think I'm just gonna end it here. Thank you so much for being here. Be sure to watch my last video and my last girl talk as well if you are interested. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.